Hello, I'm Ron Leach, candidate for U.S. Congress in Kentucky's 2nd U.S. Congressional District. Today, I am formally challenging incumbent Congressman Brett Guthrie to a series of debates throughout our 2nd U.S. Congressional District. 4 debates to take place in the month of August during the congressional summer recess. Debates that will center around the support or opposition to the Ryan budget. Brett Guthrie has never missed an opportunity to vote for the Ryan budget. Budgets reflect our values. He votes for a budget that ends Medicare as we know it, turns Medicare into a voucher system, letting our seniors fend for themselves against insurance companies while raising the Medicare eligibility age to 70. A budget that cuts Pell Grants by $125 billion over the next 10 years, abandoning our commitment to affordable education, further burdening our young Americans who are already crushed under $1.2 trillion in student loan debt. Brett Guthrie needs to be accountable for his record. He needs to be accountable to the constituents of the 2nd U.S. Congressional District of Kentucky. We need to have these debates. Thank you.
So he's right. That's Ron Leach. He's a Democrat who's running against the Brett Guthrie, right? Fucking douchery, Brett Guthrie. So this is this in the second House district. There's 6 districts in the House, and then there's 2 senators, so there's 8 total, which is also the same amount of electoral college votes that we get. So let's see, Brett Guthrie. So he's calling him, Ron Leach is calling Brett Guthrie out for a debate, and, you know, they should debate, but just look at the main people. The biggest race in Kentucky right now is the Senate race with Allison Lundergan Grimes and Mitch McConnell, and they didn't debate in the primary, so they're not debaters. They don't want the ideas to spread. They don't want to talk to the other ones. They don't want to have opposition. They hate running these campaigns. They would rather just take the damn power. Allison Lundergan Grimes' crew is running her as a blank slate, so we're not going to learn anything about her. They're just going to say Mitch is an asshole, so vote for her instead. So we're not going to learn anything about her. They're just going to, be a bunch of vague nothingness. So we're not going to actually get to know who she is. And Mitch, he doesn't brag about what he's done. He's always been attack, add Mitch. That's all he does. So there's Brett Guthrie. He challenges it to the debates, right? So these are my state representatives, okay? So for Kentucky and for the United States, we have House representatives and we have senators. So here's the Jeff Greer, the Democrat, the House representative for Meade County. And he's a Democrat too. So then there's the Senator Carol Gibson, who's a Republican of Meade County, and you can see the district right here. So that's Senate District number 5, and then this is the gentleman that represents us, Carol Gibson. Okay, so Carol Gibson is Baptist, Bachelor of Science at Western Kentucky Association of the Circuit Court Clerks and the Grayson County Chamber of Commerce. So very pro big business, right? These guys are significant because there are some races, which I'm not sure if they're a part of or not, because that's the only opportunity that we the people have to sort of make our our mark, to stand contrast to the races, the campaigns that have competitors. So that's not what I was talking about before. I was wanting to talk about the okay. So this is the circuit court clerk of Meade County. So while no judicial power, Debbie Medley does have judicial power. She is right there in the center of everything. She has to keep all the records for the circuit court, right? So everything that happens in the circuit court, she's the one that has to keep the records to that. And then you have, a whole bunch of other things that she's involved with. So this isn't, just make sure you treat the circuit court clerk like they matter, because they do matter. even without formal power, because they're such an integral. They're right in the middle. They're right in the center of the action. So not only does Debbie Medley, make sure she writes down all the records and all the information about the circuit court proceedings, but also there's just records in general, such as driver's licensing records that would go through Debbie Medley. So she has a whole host of issues that she is responsible for. So no judicial power, but she does have some influence. And here's Meade County Courthouse, completed in 1976. So 1975 is when they overhauled the judicial system, and then Meade County got this courthouse. It's not as big, and ostentatious, and sort of. I've seen churches that are bigger. I mean, it's a nice little building, but it seems pretty bland. And it's just single floor, and I'm sure it's a nice building. Don't get me wrong there, but in terms of comparing it to the courthouses of Kentucky, it's not the better one. There's lots of really cool architectural designs when it comes to the courthouses of Kentucky. This building here, I wouldn't brag about its architectural design, even though it functions, which is the main point of the building. So that's the courthouse. Debbie Medley, she's the circuit court clerk. Again, this is where I got it from. Here's a look at Louisville's worst rated judge and her controversial comments. This woman is a bitch. She's a psycho bitch. She is shitty to everybody and anybody, and that's how she runs her fucking thing. She doesn't give a fuck about truth or justice. She's just going to try to get as many convictions as possible. Assumes everybody that walks in her courtroom is fucking guilty and deserving of disrespect and fucking bullshit. Wasn't good. She did give me allow me to have a public defender, but I didn't have a job, so I couldn't afford it. So I don't know how that could have worked without a public defender. But it doesn't seem like she cares about anybody's rights or freedoms. Really, she's just there to kind of, sheep to the slaughter. Everybody lines up, guilty, 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 and slap out with fines on everybody and make all that money, and then get out there and act like you've done something good for yourself. Even though at no point did you say what really happened and really listened and actually gave a shit. So the very first thing in this article talks about her hating this guy for wearing a Barack Obama t-shirt. Oh, look at him. Do you see his t-shirt? Barack Obama. Let's do it again. That was a double whammy. So, yeah. He was wrong first by petty theft, and then his second crime was wearing a Barack Obama t-shirt. And, it's no surprise, actually. Louisville, while I thought it was the big city of Kentucky, is very much a small redneck town with a bunch of KKK fucking white supremacist bullshit. 1975 is also the year that they had the riots because the black kids were integrating in Louisville for a year. For a year, Louisvillians rioted against the black kids being integrated into the schools. And then the Viper unit that was running the police force, that's still in unit today, but for the first 2 or 3 years was being run by a man who had shot Clifford Lewis Jr. in cold blood. Right? So they murdered people in cold blood, and then they organized vast outfits of rogue militia forces. So here's the Kentucky Court of Appeals district. There's 7 districts, appellate districts. I live in the 2nd appellate district. I came from the 6th appellate district. There's 7 of them. I call this the Supreme Court districts. It's just easier. There's 7 of them, and with the Court of Appeals, you get 2 from each one of these 7 sections, whereas with the Supreme Court, you only get 1. So out of all these counties, we're going to find 2 people to be put on the Court of Appeals, and then we're going to find one of them to be our Supreme Court judge, our justice. And I did find some, cases where there was opposition, and this is going to be important. So in Meade County, the judge of Court of Appeals, we're going to see a race between Jeff S. Taylor and Mark H. Flinner. Jeff S. Taylor is unopposed, but Mark H. Flinner is running against Kelly Thompson. So we do see a fight here in Meade County. We have a choice between Kelly Thompson and Mark H. Flinner. I don't know either one of them, but there's a battle. There's a fight. So are they going to debate? Are we having an exchange of ideas? How is this all shaking out? The 6th district, Supreme Court district, you see that it's got Boone County and Gallatin County in it, little GC. Number there's two major, I guess, races that's happened for the judge of the Court of Appeals, and the Allison Jones versus Justin Sanders is the competitive race. You got Joy A. Moore, who's running unopposed. So again, both Jeff S. Teller and Joy A. Moore is doing the typical judge process in Kentucky. There's so many judgeships and so many judge jobs out there that every person can be a judge in each district that they want to be. It's probably 3 or 4 judges per district, and they make 6 figures, right? They make 110 up to $140,000. So they're making bank. They are doing good, and are they using their power wisely? Are they being responsible stewards of power? So again, Allison Jones versus Justin Sanders. Allison Jones of Prospect and Justin Sanders of Covington are running for the judge of court appeals for Boone County, and so that's the 6th Supreme Court district, and then it's like the Mark H. Flinner. So when it comes to Boone County, you can ask these Supreme Court district folks what they think about the murder case of Samantha Ramsey. When Tyler Brockman murdered Samantha Ramsey, how does Allison Jones and Justin Sanders feel about that? Where do they stand? Are they in favor of police brutality, and if you wear a badge you can murder somebody? Or do they say murder is wrong? That's an important stance to take. And in Boone County, since you have Allison Jones versus Justin Sanders, you have an opportunity to ask these folks what they believe. And they may or may not tell you, right? Depending on how they think that their campaign should work. I would trust somebody that's telling me everything, but people run their campaigns just like William McKinley and Howard, William Henry Howard, or Taft. How do you say Taft? William Howard Taft. Oh. So William Howard Taft, there's to go around campaigning and asking for people's votes actually it demeans you. It was beneath your dignity to ask the people for their right to vote. So they would just, go into all these sort of parties with these crowds, and just that's how they would do their elections, right? Just be big shots all the time instead of humbling themselves. And maybe they might go make speeches, but even then, they thought that was beneath their dignity to go make speeches all over the country. Just stay right there, say what you believe, and let the people decide. And then something else too, the county attorney and the Commonwealth's attorney. I want to explore their relationship a little bit. Let's get on down here. Okay. Courts in Kentucky. Let's do this overview here, which is probably the first one. But here's the map of the Kentucky judicial system. So after the 1975 amendment to the Kentucky Constitution, the entire judicial system was overhauled, and now there is one single unitary set of courts instead of having courts all over the place. And the judicial system, it set it up. You got a Supreme Court, which is at the top, and then you got a Court of Appeals, which is right below it, and then right below then you have the other lesser courts, all these courts. Now, even though there's a hierarchy and these courts are above them, these 2 courts are appellate courts, and they can only be appealed to. You can only appeal to the Court of Appeals or to the Supreme Court after a decision has been made with the circuit court, family, or district court. So these are the small bottom courts, but they're the ones that you have to go through first in order for any verdict or trial to be made. And then once they make a decision, you can appeal to the Court of Appeals and then maybe to the Supreme Court. But what district and circuit and family is going to do until they get a bunch of complaints, they're going to do. Also, all these judges, even the district court judge, which is the judge of limited jurisdiction, the smaller judge, the one under $4,000 in misdemeanors, he is still making $110,000. So even the district court judge making $110,000. It's a 4-year term, 110. But compared to the circuit court judges, so circuit court judges, they get all the power. They get to mess with all cases above $4,000. Including felonies, capital cases, high-profile cases. It all goes to the circuit court. Also, a circuit court judge is in there for 8 years. So you're in there for 8 years getting paid $120,000. And, that's nearly $1 million. That's almost $1 million that they're paying each one of these judges all throughout the state of Kentucky, all throughout the whole state. We don't have money for education. We don't have money for children, but we have plenty of money for prisons. We have plenty of money for bombs to bomb Palestine, and we got plenty of money to, pay all these fucking judges. You want to know why Kentucky's got a corrupt system? Well, this is the reason why. We're paying shit tons of fucking money for low, small positions. And again, all the judges that have ever gone, in front of, except for the one in Tribble County, they just wanted a conviction. They didn't give a shit about the truth. They didn't care about they didn't have any set of morals. They didn't apply their morality. They just want to fuck you over. And people, the will to power is normal. So if people can fuck you over, they will. They'll do it. And so that's what we need to, that one judge that was, I went actually before McLaughlin, and she's not like Sarah McLaughlin. She's like the evil McLaughlin. But she wanted to go ahead and well, we just first need to get you a job. Oh, really? Because I haven't ever fucking worked ever in my life before. Yeah, you know my fucking life. You're like so fucking well. You think you can fucking criticize me? Why don't you shut the fuck up? Why don't you step down? This isn't a job. This is you oppressing. This is you hurting people. You're getting paid six fucking figures to be an asshole day in and day out. And you think you're some sort of badass? Nah, it's fucking bullshit. And, these fucking police, these bailiff fucking officers, they want her to be like the fucking TV show, that lady on the fucking TV show. And they want it to be entertaining, right? They want to be able to fucking laugh at all her fucking little jokes about how shitty the general population of the whole world is. You're making fun of people, the biggest crime in her courtroom is wearing a Barack Obama t-shirt. If you wear a Barack Obama t-shirt, then, you're going to get fucked with. You're going to get harassed. How dare you come in my courtroom and expect to have free speech? This ain't America. This is fucking Nazi Germany. And this is the fucking boss. In fact, this has always been the fucking boss. When has this never been the boss? 80%, 90% of our public school systems look just like this. Bunch of bossy, fucking arrogant, Nazi fascist, totalitarian, dictating assholes. The oppressors. There's the oppressors and there's the oppressed. And here is a person who is happily, comfortably, wonderfully happy being an oppressive fucking piece of shit. Now, when I was before her, she went ahead and had to, fucking chastise me and fucking said all this shit. And it was fucking bullshit. It wasn't fair. She's getting paid $110,000, $115,000 a year to fucking be a dick to everybody that walks into the courtroom. Does she care about the truth? Does she care about, getting to the heart of the matter? Or would she rather just say, you're guilty, and go about her fucking merry way? That's in Palestine, they are bombing the shit out of the ghetto. They're fucking wiping out the ghetto is what they're doing. Well, that's what they're going to do at the West End. That's what they've been trying to do at the West End for a long ass time. The Viper Squad, which was set up by white supremacists, murdering fucking bastards. They murdered Clifford Lewis Jr., Johann Stimley did. So he's the one who set up the Viper Squad. And that's who the main rogue, special teams unit is. And so that just gives you an indication of who fucking LMPD, who they are. They fucking elevate somebody who murders an innocent black dude all the way to the top power position. So they don't give a shit. Robert White was a black police chief that went to Colorado, and now they went ahead and replaced him, right? So Robert White goes to Colorado to get out, and now we got Steve Conrad, and that skinny ass little piece of shit. You can just see that he fucking is a little smarmy bastard. You can just tell he's a lying fucking piece of shit, little skinny bastard, just probably had no power in his life and just likes the fucking, the badge to go around bullying people. So here's the overall view of the Kentucky judicial system: the Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, Circuit Court, Family Court, District Court. So memorize this map. Put this in your head and get it inside your head. When people say, what are the 5 courts of the Kentucky judicial system, you should be able to rattle them off like it's nothing, right? District Court, Circuit Court, Family Court, Court of Appeals, Supreme Court. Those are the only 5 courts that you need to know about the judicial system. It is complicated. There is a lot to this. But when you understand the 5 courts, then you understand that Circuit Court, District Court, Family Court is where it starts. And then Court of Appeals, the Supreme Court are the ones that check to make sure that Circuit, Family, and District are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So the beginning, the District, Family, and Circuit, they're the ones that's going to start the process. And then it might go to Court of Appeals, which it rarely does. It rarely gets appealed to the Court of Appeals or to the Supreme Court. You have to have a real good reason for process being messed up or something. Kentucky District number 46. This is Meade County. This is where I'm at now. So the District Court that's here right now, these are the guys who's making $110,000, $120,000. Kenneth Harold Goff and Shan F. Embry. So for the next 4 years, because district court's a 4-year term, they're going to be making bank, right? $110,000. These guys are going to be making way more. And it's kind of embarrassing, okay? So I'm going to tell Meade County this, but it goes for Boone County and anybody else. So circuit court clerk, you're making $110,000, $120,000 per person, right? So every person that gets on circuit court clerk. Here we have 2 circuit court justices in Meade County, in the 46th district, or 46th judicial district. So we have Bruce T. Butler and Robert A. Miller. So we got 2 circuit court judges who's going to be making bank $120,000 for the next 8 years. For the next 8 years, there's $1 million. Where these gentlemen up here, Kenneth Harold Goff and Shan F. Embry, they'll make $500,000, you know, or 4 times 110,000. So they'll make $440,000, right? So less than $500,000. But these gentlemen on bottom over 8 years are going to make $1 million. And you're telling me in the last 8 years of having the, you know, I guess these were the same judges. So we've already had these judges for 8 years, but they've already made $1 million, and they're going to get in there for another 8 years. So they've been in there for 16 years. And then once they get in, they're going to be judged for a long ass time, you know, for 8 years. That's 2 presidential terms. You get to be judge in Kentucky for the, you know, for 1 term is the same length as an entire presidential term. So these guys think they're better than George Washington. They're not going to step down after 8 years. Fuck no, I'm going to keep on going and try to get another $1 million. What I'm trying to say is that we're going to have, I don't know anything about Bruce T. Butler and Robert A. Miller, and I very much hope that they're very fair and, you know, judicious, smart, respectable people. However, 8 years, in 8 years' time, we've not been able to find a candidate to run against these gentlemen. Are they doing such a good job that people are so overwhelmingly happy with the system? Or is there nobody out and just stupidity and nobody's really trying things? So I think we actually need to, in the next 8 years, this is what I want Meade County, Boone County, and any of these other counties to do. Once you get these judges back in your office, they're going to be in there for 8 fucking years. So from 2014 to 2022, look for another person that could be a judge. Look for another person that could come on up and change things and be different. 8 years, in 8 years' time, you couldn't find one fucking candidate, and you couldn't find one person to oppose the main candidate. In 8 years, you couldn't do that? No, we could do better than this. This is, I want democracy. I want to see candidates run against each other, and I want to see a good debate happen, because it's the exchange of ideas. Too many people are getting positions running unopposed. Every one of these guys are going to get their judgeships running unopposed. So they don't even have to try hard, right? All they had to do is file $200. They put their name, you know, into the pile, and that's it. And either they're so good that nobody's challenging them, or maybe they're so bad and corrupt that they're scared of them and they don't want to fucking file against them. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Hopefully they're good, you know. Like I said, I don't know if they're good or bad. So hopefully they're just so damn good that Meade County is just like, man, the way Robert A. Miller judges and the way Bruce T. Butler, the way they judge is just, immaculate. It's incredible. Kenneth Harold Goff, Shan F. Embry, great judges. Let's pay them $500,000, $400,000, $1 million. Let's keep them in office for 8 years, 16 years, hell, 24, 32. We don't give a shit. Mitch McConnell's been in there for 30 fucking years. He's the Mubarak of Kentucky. We keep our politicians in there forever, and we don't care. They're gonna fuck us all over, and we think that they're the greatest fucking thing since sliced cake. Kentucky circuit courts are the state courts of general jurisdiction in the U.S. state of Kentucky. The circuit courts are trial courts with original jurisdiction, including capital offenses, felonies, land disputes, contested probates of wills, civil lawsuits, and disputes with an amount of controversy over $4,000. Circuit courts also have the power to issue injunctions, writs of prohibition, writs of mandamus, and appeals from the decisions of administrative agencies. They also hear appeals from the district courts. So if you appeal district court, it goes to the circuit court, which are courts of limited jurisdiction in Kentucky that hear misdemeanor criminal cases and small claims, making the circuit courts superior courts. So there's a hierarchy between district and circuit courts. But what about family court? Family court is an offshoot of circuit court, and they say they run concurrently. So is family court a court of limited jurisdiction? I think family court is actually a court of maximum jurisdiction, because they don't have any sort of code that's guiding their development. So they're just forming these family courts wherever they want to form these family courts. And I have not been happy with these family courts. They did not fucking actually analyze and look through the goddamn case. 32 fucking years of violence and abuse, and the motherfucker is going to be like, just automatically think I'm fucking guilty as soon as I walk in there. That's some bullshit. You know, just because you call him daddy, just because you fucking beat your kids or your daddy beat you, doesn't mean it makes it right for this motherfucker to keep on doing it. And then when I go up there and you say, hey, how come you've been beating your kids? Well, you all been justifying it your whole fucking lives. You're going to point it at me whenever I do something wrong, and you're going to sit there and say you guys have been right the whole fucking time. You all have justified violence. You justified every piece of violence that ever fucking could possibly fall upon a person. Not only is it violence, but a fucking clique is going around specifically trying to destroy Jonathan Masters. They've always have ever since I've been born. This motherfucker's been trying to kill me since I've been fucking born. They've been covering the fucking piece of shit that's been trying to murder me, and they all go along with it just because they're obedient fucking cunts. Which is bullshit, and it sucks. So the circuit court, right, you know, just in general, the judges need to give a shit about the actual issue, care about justice, care about truth, be inquisitive and inquire about the situation instead of thinking you fucking know somebody, you know, as soon as you come out of nowhere. So you don't know them, and to assume everybody's guilty. What an asshole. What a country we live in, right? Oh, well, you come in this court, you must be guilty. Why? Because your KKK cops fucking said so. Because I was, fucking jaywalking at the worst. I was fucking jaywalking. Your cops fucking kicked my ass. Fuck you motherfuckers. We're paying all these police officers. We're paying all these judges, jailers. So much fucking money is just being wasted in the criminal justice system of Kentucky because it's so fucking corrupt. It's one of the worst states in the union. The lowest fucking wealth, the lowest health care, lowest education, no teeth. Lots of insanity, lots of obesity, no shoes, lots of poverty, lots of trailer trash, lots of poverty, lots of homeless, lots of police brutality, lots of prisoners, prison rape, you know, lots of fucking bullshit happening, you know, and it's not fair. So the circuit court judges, the judges of district court, the court of appeals, and the Supreme Court need to do a better job. So, the family court division of the circuit courts have original jurisdiction in cases involving divorce, dissolution of marriage. And this is going to be, you know, Linda Bramlage is going to fucking say, well, since you're divorced, this person is right, this person is wrong, la-di-da-di-da. She went ahead and convicted me without even knowing any fucking facts. And then when the tables was reversed, she wouldn't convict. So, yeah, I hate hypocrites. I hate two-faced fucking piece of shit hypocrites. You sit there and assume somebody's fucking guilty when they're not even fucking there, but no, fuck you. She doesn't know anything about, she has no moral fucking certitude to be able to make any decisions on any of these matters. Child custody, visitation, alimony, child support. She's an oppressor. She only knows how to oppress others. She doesn't know how to get along with others. She doesn't understand equality, and she definitely doesn't understand truth and justice and, treating people the way they're supposed to be treated. So visitation, maintenance and support, alimony and child support, equitable distribution of property and dissolution cases, adoption, termination of parental rights, family court division of circuit court, also has concurrent jurisdiction with the district court over proceedings involving domestic violence and abuse, the Uniform Act on Paternity and Uniform Interstate Family Support Act, Dependency, Child Abuse and Neglect, and juvenile status offenses. Okay, so circuit court judges serve 8-year terms. There are 57 circuits, may have one or more judges depending on the population and docket sizes. Circuits may include one or more counties. Some have up to 4. So who's making all these decisions? I wish I knew, because that person has the ability to create new judges, new 6-figure, salaried officials. And what a good friend. Hell, if you can, get with a friend that helps you, get a six-figured salary, that'd be a nice job, right? And that'd be a nice friend. So appeals from decisions of the circuit courts are made to the Kentucky Court of Appeals, the State Intermediate Appellate Court, which may be further appealed to the Kentucky Supreme Court, the State Supreme Court. Criminal cases, okay. So structure of the court system and the overview. There are 4 levels of court. The appellate courts are Supreme Court and Court of Appeals. The trial courts are divided into circuit court, which has general jurisdiction, and district court, which has limited jurisdiction. So, right, that's easy. There's 2 trial courts and there's 2 appellate courts. And I think it's actually just an easy way to sum it all up. So 2 trial courts, 2 appellate courts. District court has jurisdiction over juvenile matters, child abuse and neglect, domestic violence cases, which is also the same as family court. So concurrently, they run concurrently. So I think district court is probably just getting insulted by family court. You have Linda Bramlage, who makes $120,000-$130,000 for family court. She gets to be a judge for 8 years, whereas the fucking district court asshole is only in there for 4 years, and he gets paid less. And then, when it comes to having some power, he might get his cases taken away from him. with some sort of aggressive, judge who wants to try to take as many cases on. Circuit courts have general jurisdiction and preside over civil matters involving more than $4,000, capital offenses and felonies, divorces, adoptions, termination of parental rights, real estate title cases, contested probate cases, and appeals from the district court and from administrative agencies. Family court is a division of circuit court and became a permanent part of Kentucky state court system with 2002 passage of the Family Court Amendment to Kentucky state constitution. Family court judges are judges of the circuit court, but family court hears only cases involving families and children. Its jurisdiction includes divorce, child support, visitation, la-di-da-di-da. Fuck Andrew Green. Andrew Green's a fucking lawyer that met out in Cincinnati. Just an absolute piece of shit. Took my money. Probably snorted up a bunch of fucking cocaine with it. So, these fucking lawyers, it absolutely sucks. I give him $1,000 thinking if I paid him, he would treat me better. But as soon as he got the money, he fucking took off. I should have given him half then, half later. Or just not fucked with him because I should have judged his stupid personality and his stupid ass fucking demeanor. Short little bald douchebag. Right, loves his daddy. Daddy used to beat the shit out of him, and he loves he loves his daddy dearest. Loves his daddy so much. I love you, daddy. I love how you used to beat me up and smack me around. I love you so much. And he'll defend all fucking child beaters all over the world. So, I want to analyze now the relationship between the county attorney and the Commonwealth's attorney, and then how they interact with the rest of the population. So we have a judicial system. We have all these judges and all these different trial courts and appellate courts, and they have their own rules and responsibilities. But when it actually comes down to who's going to prosecute these, who's going to put these people on the stand and actually compile the evidence and say that they're guilty, well, it comes to the Commonwealth attorney. It comes to the Commonwealth's attorney, the county attorney, and it comes to the attorney general. And the entire state, the entire power of Gallatin County, Meade County, anybody, any county in Kentucky is given to us by Frankfurt. So Frankfurt allows the counties to have administrative powers as long as they represent Frankfurt. Frankfurt's the head honcho. Frankfurt is king, and what Frankfurt says goes. So if Frankfurt has a problem with some of these people out in the field, they can change them if they wanted to. So the county attorney versus the Commonwealth's attorney coming up. We'll take a break.